Hello, everybody, dear viewers and listeners of the Idea Radio and TVs, this global think tank. This is Cyrus Kangarlu, and welcome to the Friday talk show with Miss Anuschka. And we will talk about the revolution in Iran, or better to say, the ongoing revolution. Okay, Anuschka, say hi to your viewers till we start the program.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Anushka, as you guys know, has a great program already on TV for over a year, I think, right?
Yes, it's been
Yeah,
over here.
it's unbelievable.
I know.
And it's very helpful. I've seen the feedback from the people that they like the program because her program is about the empowerment and healing. Anyhow, you've must observe the Iranian people fighting with the repressive regime of Islamic Republic in news and various social media. I'm sure it's very sad for you, for us, for everyone, and it's affected the whole globe. All
Absolutely.
right, but the first question, Anushka, is how do you see this young people revolution? And why do you think it's going to be successful this time? And what do you think our people want? And why this is the, if we could say, this is the right pathway to the final triumph?
Yeah. Yeah, I really believe that this uprising has been a long time coming. It literally feels like a balloon when you keep blowing it up and blowing it up and blowing it up and finally it explodes. It just feels like that's what the Iranian people have been, this balloon that just kept getting more air and more and more air, and now it's that final last explosion. And ever since the last time I went to Iran was in 2010, and it was on the year anniversary of the 2009 uprising. And ever since then, I've been holding this vision of a free Iran, and I just deep down in my soul, I just know that it was going to happen in my lifetime. Because when you see that many people having fear, because all these passages and these guards were just in the streets, just wanting to instill fear in people, really. And it's really because they know that the power in our DNA, the fire in our Iranian DNA is there. So really that's what they're trying to battle. And this time, I know there's been many protests for so many years, but I really see this one being so much more powerful because like since when have we ever seen women taking their scarves, their rusaris, and lighting it on fire? That's never happened before. Going and just roaming the streets without their scarves, really just having that fire within them. Children in schools tearing up pictures of these so-called leaders. So many people going on strikes, pouring into the streets with rocks to go against these guns. It's just so inspiring to watch. And really, it's because of all this that I see success this time. Not only because it's being led by such young, fearless, brave generation of young girls and women, of course, that now are supported by the men and boys as well. But also because this generation is so tech savvy that they know their technology, and there is so much more, thankfully, available for us to be able to share and have this platform, like even this, right, or Instagram and all the
Yes.
different avenues for them to be able to share and have others be their voice so they can get out of this prison that they live in. They also have this technology to be able to see what how others live, what the freedom of choice actually looks like, to be free to wear what you want, to show your hair, what it looks like, instead of being killed and tortured by these evil monsters out there. And it's now I see it's every time that another person continues to get unfortunately killed or brutally tortured and whatnot, I see that it's actually filling them now with rage to fight back rather than fear to retreat, which is what I believe it was in the past. This time it's like it's like pouring fuel on their fire rather than water on their fire. And that's why I really believe there is victory on the other side.
Very interesting point of view, Anuschka, when I hear from you as a young female, not as a young female, as a young female activist, which truly, when I watch your program, I listen to your programs, and this is one of my favorites. I learn that how you try to teach, but the difference between your teaching and some others on a social media, I see it comes from the bottom of your heart. Seriously, I can get the message. And how you're trying to, in one word or in one sentence, you're trying to build up the positiveness in the people, and how positiveness could be a great weapon against anything. So, whereas I could say that I want to just bring a few elements and then ask the relevant question, because what you mentioned was very interesting. I want to see that you mentioned about the social media savvy, which is very important. And I want to ask you, what do you think, Anuschka, these few elements that I I'm going to mention. First, let's say just the social savviness of this generation. I want to see what other facts, because it's very important when you compare this revolution with the previous one, a specific previous one, which I don't call it revolution. I call it the stimulus action of some others, which caused for our people just to revolt without understanding what they want and what they don't want, which was Shah, which they weren't completely understand. They were repeating what they have been dictated to them to say. But this time, no one said anything. All of a sudden, which is this all of a sudden is include 43 years build up, which created a generation. What a generation. What a generation. Not for Iran, the generation that built up a message for the whole world.
Yes.
Are these elements the social savviness? The message that has been built up and completed and created and handed to the next generation as a second element. And the third element, again, these young people, they have got the message, they have created the message, and they carry the torch to the end of the line. Are these elements the elements of reaching to the final line of triumph? What do you think?
I really believe so. I believe that because they don't know anything other than this regime, right? They were born when this whole, like, they're all under, like, even myself, right? I'm 41, so this all was after I was born.
You are not look like one. You're much younger. I didn't know, seriously, I didn't know.
No, okay, yeah, I'm 41. And I'm still
Is that your phone that is ringing?
No.
No. Okay. All right,
Yeah,
go ahead.
so,
I'm sorry for interruption.
And one of the biggest things too I see is that it really is the first woman-led revolution in history, which that in itself is it's never happened before, right? And so what I see with this generation, the mass. So when you look at a conscious level of the planet, like when you come up, like, look at energy, spirituality, all of that, right? We always talk about the level of consciousness from the planet, and there's always has to be balance. There's this universal balance law. And so with that, we've had divine masculine for many, many years. And it's been time for this last year or two, they actually keep talking about the divine feminine coming rising, right? And so this in itself, it's like perfect timing with these women, these young women that are leading this. It's perfect timing for that divine feminine to rise. And not just in Iran, but the impact that this is having throughout the entire world. Every woman out there, they're all watching from other oppressed countries. They're watching. They're giving that inspiration and empowerment to those women to also be able to stand up. And I believe that's feeding off of each other from a positive energy. I actually yesterday, that's one of the things I shared on my episode, that love and positivity outshine anything else, outshine fear, because of how powerful of that energy is, right? And so when we're out here and spreading that positivity, when we're out here also like on the outside of Iran, like we've never had these many people make noise. It's never been to this extent, right? And so I see all of this energy is being sent to those people in Iran. So not only are they standing up together as one, but we are also, the most we can do, right? We're also going on a weekly basis, maybe multiple times a week, some people even, and just continuously sending these energies over to them. And that in itself creates empowerment. That they receive that energy because we're all connected. And so therefore, for me, I see this being, this is it. This, I feel it deep in my soul. It's time. It truly is. Enough is enough. Like this, the whole reason it's woman, life, freedom. Like that's before maybe there wasn't like a true cause, but right now it's freedom, not just for women, but everyone, but truly woman, life, freedom, because women don't have that life. They don't have the freedom. And it's time for them to.
Do you, you said you were 7 years old when you moved to the United States. Am I right?
So I actually, yes, I was 7. I actually only lived in Iran though when I was 13 because I was born in Germany. So I've only lived in Iran a year in my life, and that was an experience.
I want to ask you that during this time, year or year plus that you live there, what kind of memory do you have from the oppression of women in our country? What is your memory? Can you just share it with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So and it's probably what ignites this passion and fire inside of me. And I get like really emotional because I believe that they need the right to have this freedom. So when I lived there in 7th grade, we had gone there I was in America, and then I had gone there. So I went to an international school, and I was there for a year and a half. I remember so many things. Like I remember it was so strange. Well, first of all, of course, wearing this, the magna, like where it's like completely covered for school, or even going out. I thought it was really strange that women had to sit on the back of the bus. Like, what is that? Like, for me as a kid, coming from this, like we know history here, right? In America, it's like, oh, before Civil War, that's what black people, the blacks had to do. And they had Civil War, and thankfully that's no longer the case. There's no segregation now. Yet there was segregation. I remember being scared. Like I remember one time I had put clear nail polish on my nails. And I remember going to school and being so scared that they would see it because I forgot to take it off. I had it for like the Friday, like I had put it on, and I forgot to take it off when I went to school. And the whole time I was so scared, hiding my nails. So God forbid the principal, they would come around and they would like look at your nails. They would look and see like if you had like nail polish on. And this is, by the way, the school I went to was actually a lot more lenient because it was all international kids, right? And then the worst part of it is they would tell us about, like, there was this one day of the year where it was like oh man, I will never forget this day. And all of us were really, really upset. But it was this one day of the year you had to do Death to America. And you had to stomp on the American flag. And we would refuse. We said, no, we're not going to. Because most of us are from America. And so for us, it was it just felt like a stab in the back. I'm Iranian, but I'm Iranian American. and I'm very proud of both, right? And so for someone at like 13 years old to be told you need to step on a flag where you grew up, like that's just insane, right?
That's right.
Um, so I mean, it was just, and then of course, like the segregation against it was all woman school, and that to me was strange. It's like why does this need to be like the case? And there was just so much of like women, and it just felt like a lot of oppression. Like I remember, like as women, my mom and I, when we would walk the streets, we had to be really careful so that way like we wouldn't get bothered by anyone. And you could just feel the difference of just us being looked down upon, like as if we're second class citizens. And that's horrible. That's horrible to be that way when women are very powerful, very intelligent, like especially in Iran. Like you see some of those smartest women are there. And to see that they're being oppressed in this way, where their value is half that of a man, that's ridiculous. Like that should not exist. Like inheritance, they get half the value of a man. Like it blows my mind. And so all these things when I was there, I remember thinking to myself, I didn't go back for many years. I didn't go back until 2010 when I went back there. And again, that was a year after the uprising. So you remember the 2009 uprising. So I was there literally on the anniversary. And oh my God, just the fear people had. I was just like, this is not okay. And at that moment, I just always thought like there is another way. Like I know it's to come. I know it's going to come, because you could just see it in people that not one person that I talked to was okay with what was happening there. Not one person.
Very interesting, and I'm happy to hear the I could say one witness from inside of Iran and from the special point of view. And it's very interesting for our viewers. We have viewers that live in Iran, we have viewers that live here, but you are from the level of the society that you have been experiencing living in a multi-different cultures. Like you born in Germany, and then you went to Iran, then you went back to US, and for a short time you have such a memory. Is very interesting. Our mission is reflecting different views specifically from this revolution, which is the amazing revolution of the female.
Just to add to that, if you don't mind,
Sure.
I've been saying it's an evolution.
Exactly.
This is an evolution for Iran.
Great
I
point.
really believe that.
I do believe that that's the quiet evolution, not the evolution for a Iranian woman. Is the evolution that Iranian woman causing it for the rest of the world. That's why it shook even the cradle of democracy in the world, the Western society, that they think that the woman is free. And this message of the female Iranian, which they have been misrepresented.
Absolutely.
I felt so sad so many times when I saw, I don't know if you have seen this clip, that the Chinese guys, specifically, I know that's with the mission they come, and they recorded the clip of the Persian girls that showing to the world, see how easy they come and how cheap they are. This is how we have been represented. And even with the with the regime of Iran, that they've been trying to, if you notice, they have been attacking to the core matter of our culture. Me, you, and everybody else, they know that the Persian mother means our culture, means the soldier of our culture and soil, means everything to us. And it is not ironic that they attack to the core matter, to the root of the Persian existence. You see, they attack to the woman, which is the identity of Persians.
Yes.
They attack to their culture. They attack to the monument that they are representative of Persian, as you said, evolution culture. or evolved culture.
Yes.
And the most important and very interesting, sensitive point of view, have you noticed to the name of the woman and the guys even that they shot to kill? Their name is not Zainab, Soghra, Cobra. Isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
Is a Persian name.
They're Persian names, yes.
Is Mahsa and Nika. And even the guys.
Zarina, yes.
And I'm happy that I have Anuschka in the program today. So these are, when you notice, these are the elements that we have to pay attention to. And as you mentioned, then is a evolution, is a evolving page of the history. I want to go further and claim that forever, not for tomorrow, not for next 40 years, for next 400 years,
Yes.
it will be in the page of history, of
Absolutely.
the human being, that they would say it. They would say it, that centuries ago, somewhere in a planet of Earth called Iran, Persian women start the revolution / evolution. They changed the whole world's view
Absolutely.
about
I
the
get
woman.
complete goosebumps because, like, I believe that that really is happening as we're witnessing. We're witnessing history in the making right now. And all those that have been lost and that have sacrificed their lives for the greater good, their names will never be forgotten. And they're really considered saints on the other side. They're never going to be forgotten, and literally they're going to be symbols of what is to come.
See, Anushka, you know that we have a rich country full of mineral resources, oil, gas, ancient and valuable touristic monuments, and etc. But in the last 43 years, due to the presence of Islamic Republic in our country, all of them have been looted, and our people are living in a poverty. Now comes to my second question. I mean, I ask you so many questions, official questions. From your point of view, in the day after freedom, what priorities should we have in order to build a modern and proud Iran full of prosperity and freedom? And how can this goal could be reached?
So when I look at like what I would like look, one of the things I'll say, I've never really been political or any like into government stuff. More like probably in the last 7 or so weeks, I've gotten a lot more involved just because it so speaks to my heart. And from what I would probably look at is seeing an Iran that I would be proud of, a free Iran that I would be proud of, would be to completely eliminate any laws that have anything to do with this segregation and second-class citizens of women. So completely creating equality between men and women. And that way they're allowed to have their choice to wear what they want to wear, have, show their hair, their body. I mean, not to go running around the streets naked. That's not what I'm saying, of course. But to not hide themselves because, they're going to provoke men, as if that's a woman's responsibility to begin with. That's not, right? It's really to have freedom because it's my body, my choice, and freedom of expression. So it's to having people being able to express themselves, especially in the form of art, without being arrested because of it. To be able to really have a way of living so that way they can have, let's say, like the leaders even, right? Leaders having them be women. Like I really believe that in order to have women's voices heard, women leaders must be there as well, because only a woman knows what a woman wants, right? Now, I also believe that progressive men would work in partnership, of course, because that is very important. To have equality is to have both genders, not have it be one or the other. Like right now, it's like all men. It's how does that even work, right? To be able to create this equality amongst the different genders and the different people, and to really listen to people's voices and hear what it is that's going to make a difference for them. I mean, what I would love is to see some of, like, when I went to Persepolis in 2010, like, it was heartbreaking to see like how much of it has been destroyed, right? Because you feel the energy. I'm someone that really feels energy. So when I was there, I could feel the history there, and to see like how much of it has been destroyed, or from, you know, what I hear, given off, sold off to who knows where, what museums, but having that restored, having a country where people would love to come. And you know how many people I know that tell me, Americans that want to come and visit Iran, but they're scared to. So being able to open that up so that other people outside, non-Iranians, can come to Iran and have tours in Iran, because there's so much beauty in Iran. And with that, that's going to create prosperity. The oil aspect of it, like I said, I'm not too familiar. It's a bummer to see that this is one of the main reasons why I feel like the Islamic Republic has like they feel like they have some power. And it's not to say with a new leader that resource couldn't be used to bring more prosperity as well. It's just a matter of getting them removed and having a new leader that is able to do that in a way where it also serves the people of Iran, not keeping the money for themselves. So that's really what I see, is having that, like having people being able to just work together and express themselves freely, be their authentic selves.
Very interesting. It is very interesting. Always, every phenomena that created in the history, or even in the laboratories, or in a natural life, or in a wildlife, the result is a representative of the elements that have been working together to create such a result. Anything. Considering the prominent role of women in this revolution, and emphasizing the slogan of woman, life, freedom. When I go back and study about the revolutions in different countries, different geographies, when I compare it, it's just a very vivid comparison with the French Revolution. But I see this is a very mature and coming from the wisdom which created and resulted. It cannot be, no one ever created this and says, okay, let's hide it for such a day we're going to come up with this slogan. No, this slogan have been created by those young women with Mahsa, with Nika, with so many unknown soldiers on the street, that they come, they revolt, and their blood has been shed on the street with no name, and no one ever know who they are. Those are the people that they are sharing. We have to share this proud point. Those are the ones that created, and they chanted, woman, life, freedom. Getting to this point, I want to ask you, what kind of government and condition do you think that modern Iran should have, so that our women can reach their true position?
So in terms of like being that this is again the first woman-led revolution, well, evolution as we're saying, right? I really could see that I like again, I don't know if I would even say democracy because I don't know if that would be the best. But whatever it comes, I believe it needs to be in a way where women are the primary leaders, whether it's a presidency or monarchy, I don't know. But I do believe that that is crucial because in order to create life, like, first of all, women create life, right? That combination, but without us giving birth to, right? Like giving birth, then there would be no babies. So I feel like a woman needs to give birth to this new Iran. And that's what I see is women collaborating together and alongside, because look, I also am very much of a believer of both working together, both genders working together. I don't have this feminine, feminism, like no men, like that's not who I am. I'm all about both genders. But those that are progressive, those that have been standing up with them to come along so they can create a form of equality so that way there is no, and also that there's no theocracy. Like that in itself is, to me, like whenever there's an integration of religion and government, chaos gets created. Always. Because you're pretty much saying, oh, who cares about these beliefs? And there's so many people with so many different beliefs in this day and age, especially. So to not allow people to have their own faith, whatever that may be, even if that means being an atheist, whatever it is, allowing people to make their choice. And if there are Muslims, they want to wear rosari, go for it, right? Freedom of choice of however you need to be for yourself. So that way it's not excluding certain people or really, I mean, there's people I know that I've spoken with that are either Baha'i or like Christians that were pretty much like, I had a client one time and she was telling me, she was Baha'i, and she told me her house, they got so lucky, they fled, they didn't take anything, but they got so lucky, they put her house on fire. And her family had to pretty much run. And I don't, like, her story is just very heartbreaking. And that in itself, as a child, going through something like that, it traumatized her. So much so that she ended up with the same brain tumor that I had because she had so much that she had held inside of her. So what I see is kids being able to thrive, kids not feeling like they're suppressed and oppressed, and being able to dance. I mean, dancing is a part of our soul. It's like you put music on and a baby starts moving. There's a reason for that, rather than banning it. So for people to be able to just be themselves, their authentic selves, and allowing that. So with this woman life freedom, I mean, it's such a powerful slogan, and because it truly is what this revolution is, what it's that this is it right here. It's the women that are bringing this about to bring that life and freedom back to Iran, because there is no life right now there. There really isn't.
Very interesting. What do you think tomorrow's Iran would be acceptance point of, I mean, my point of view from the different religion. Do you think in tomorrow, hopefully soon, Zoroastrian, Jewish, Christian, even Muslims, Baha'is, and other believers could live freely again, happy beside each other, and feel happy? And especially, it reminds me that in the United States there is an expression. It says, "Happy wife, happy life."
Yes.
And I remember in our life, my private life, my parents, when I've heard this expression here, it comes to my mind that that is true. Whenever our mother was happy, the whole life was happy, no matter what, because we felt, we lived through that the mother, which is very interesting. As I grow older, I understood that mother is more than mother. It's not my mother. It seems to me is the mother of our country, then grow to the point that is the mother of history of Iran. And when I
and Mother Earth, that there's
exactly,
a reason they say Mother Earth.
that's my
right?
point. And when I go back to our history and see that 4,000 years ago we had a king, King Purandokht, as a woman, this is not our country. Somehow, some people that they are envy of our culture, they have been, I mean, I can refer you to the last book that the Queen Elizabeth wrote. And in a part of the book about Iran, it mentions that about the Iran and Iranian, about the Muhammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, that how even their enemy, his enemy, is mentioning we couldn't deal with him because he was so patriot. And from the nationalistic point of view, he loved his country. We couldn't get to this point to bring him down. So, and he was politician, a great politician. So that avenue was closed too. That's why we brought the person that we have been boiling it for this moment, which was Khomeini, he was working at the consulate, American consulate in Iraq. It means this element knew English very well. And they've created, it says that's why the Ayatollah Kashani couldn't do anything. So we brought him, because in any other avenue, we couldn't fight with him because he loved Iran. This is very important, that your enemy mentioning about your PowerPoint about these issues is very interesting. But anyhow, just for a last question, I want to just mention something else first. Many of our viewers have watched your program on Idea TV. Programs full of energy that teach the audience how to feel good, to deal with bad mood of life in the world that can sometimes include violence, sadness, or failure. So my question, as a last question, is as someone who teaches empowerment and healing, and considering the difficult conditions that our compatriots face every day, and the views or different bad news, I should say, about killing and difficult incident in Iran, what message do you have for our people, the families of martyrs and prisoners, and how can they strengthen their spirit? We hear from you.
So, I mean, yes, like you said, it's been heartbreaking just seeing everything that's happened and continues to happen. And I probably haven't felt this much anger and sadness in a very long time that I have in the last 7+ weeks. And I realized that that's not going to do anything for them or myself. So when I just with things that I've gone through, I always know that it's through the toughest of times when we thrive the most. Again, with the universal law of balance, right? It's like, and I'm going to show this, like a pendulum, right? there always has to be balance. So whenever you have something that's way over here, it's bound to go the other way. And that's just the balance, right? And so there's always order that balances chaos. One of my quotes that I've always said is, the greater the pain and struggle, the greater the gain and gratitude. And this truly is a liberation movement. So those that have lost their lives, they're never going to be forgotten. These brave souls, they're empowering, like we've been saying, they're empowering women worldwide. So that in itself is huge. And to really bring on this divine feminine, give a rise to the divine feminine. Like, I'm learning so much about Iran's history through this, because I watched one of the Instagram reels, and it was showing like all the leaders of like different armies and the Navy and all that from like really ancient times. They were all women. Like, and I can't remember all. There was like Artemis, and like there was several different ones, and I was just like, wow, I didn't even know that. It's in our blood. It's in not just like Iranian blood, but it's in the woman blood. It's in our blood to be these leaders and to be victorious. And really, victory is just so close that, I mean, giving up is not an option at this point, because we're so close. Too many have died for too long, for no reason. And so it's really, enough is enough. And I really believe that now, at this point, it's the amount of lies as the regime continues to spread has just become comical. It's like, you know, the chupana durugu, like the boy that cried wolf at this point. They can't be trusted. They literally, it's time for them to go. And I really am so grateful for their courage and bravery, their fearlessness over there. And one of the things that I want to finish with, that I always will say and continue to say to everyone that is dealing with the anger and sadness, because like that's what the protests are for, is to go out there and release that anger and sadness, right? And at the same time, be as a whole. But I continue to say that Iran is in a cocoon right now. And when a caterpillar creates a cocoon, it literally has to break down its own body and digest itself. Like, it has to eat itself inside out in order to transform into a completely new creature. It's messy, it's gooey, I'm sure it's really uncomfortable. And on the other side of that, get ready to fly like the biggest butterfly. That's what's there.
Great.
And that's what I truly believe.
That's beautiful. I want to just re-emphasize the message that Anuschka just mentioned. I love that. Giving up is not an option.
It is not.
And we are marching to the threshold of triumph, to the great Iran again.
Yes. Greater.
Exactly. Okay. Even though we love to talk more about the different issue with Anuschka, but we are getting to the end of our program today. Thank you for your company and sharing these issues, such as we hope that it would be with sharing these views with others, helping us on the path of wisdom and freedom. Women, life, freedom, long live Iran, and we'll see you till the next program.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.